Welcome to our Food Science Club Fireside Chat with Dr. Bruce Hamaker. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bruce Hamaker. I'm a professor in the Department of Food Science and have been at Purdue since 1992.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll just dive right into the questions. So describe your research in no more than 15 words, if possible. I know that's a big task.
So we work in the area of foods and their intersection with the body, and our interest is in nutrition and health. And I guess in my introduction, Madeline, I should have said a little bit about myself. Maybe I do that. I have a background in, I came originally out of biology, long time ago. I have a bachelor's in biology, and then I went into a nutrition, PhD nutrition program and ended up getting a master's and switching to food science and got a PhD in food chemistry. And then I did a postdoc sort of back in the nutrition side. And we've done work in sort of, I would say, sort of traditional food science into chemistry and function of carbohydrates and proteins. But then our real interest in the last years and today, again, is this, so how food intersects with the body. That's my 15 words. And then also we work on carbohydrates, mostly in the area of glycemia, the digestible carbohydrates and how they affect the body, and then the microbiome in the gut.
Very nice. So because, like you said, your research focuses on carbohydrates and cereal grains and things like that, what would you say is your favorite breakfast cereal? And also, what is your favorite carbohydrate-based food in general?
Yeah, over the years, my favorite I am a breakfast cereal eater, and I now try to eat low sugar kind of breakfast cereals that sort of have a sustaining quality. We do work on that. And so right now I'm eating grape nuts with some granola on top. I will say the granola has some sugar. Not that the little sugar hurts you, I don't think it does, but I sort of try to keep down on that. And my favorite carbohydrate-based food, that's an interesting question. I sort of gotten away from the really sweet stuff, but I do still like cookies. But I would say on a regular basis that we eat a lot of rice in our house, and probably foods with rice. And rice is not one of the really high glycemic kind of carbohydrates. I think it's overall pretty healthy.
Very nice choices. So going back to what you said about your background in nutrition, how would you say that has impacted your career as a food scientist?
Yeah, I think you can guess by the little I said that it has had a big impact on my career and interest as a food scientist. So we do, most of our work is directed back towards the body. And I mean that in a kind of very intimate way, like how foods can activate physiologic systems in the body, and that all comes out of nutrition. And even from the bacterial side in the gut, really our interest is into inflammation in the body and that sort of thing. So we are true food scientists, and that's why I'm in food science. We always approach these problems as a food scientist and scientists in the lab with sort of the ultimate interest with the question around how do you design better, more healthy foods?
Absolutely. What do you think the most important food law is and why?
Yeah, I teach food law and regulations. You'll have me at some point while you're at Purdue. And to me, the most important part of the law are two things. It's the core of the law. It's adulteration and misbranding. It means that that food cannot be adulterated and sold in interstate commerce. It has to be safe. It has to be free of filth. It can't be something like made to look better than it is. That's economic adulteration. And misbranding is you can't put something false or misleading on the label. And you may sometimes go to the grocery and see something you think might be misleading. And that might be something that really is sort of in the gray area of the law, that if it misleads people into buying something and they're thinking something else, then it's against the law. Really important parts of the law.
Yeah, definitely. It's important to know what you're getting and that it'll be safe and what you think it is.
Yeah.
So I know that in your career you've done a lot of traveling, so we have a few questions about that. The first one is, what is the best thing you've learned in your travels?
Yeah, I do a lot of traveling. Of course, right now with the pandemic, I'm not doing any travel, but I do a lot of international travel over the years, and it will be in the future too. And I do a lot of work in Africa, but also in South America, Asia. Spent a lot of time in all of those places. I think the most important thing that I've learned is that, in a sort of philosophical way, but that everyone's the same, whether it's people want the same thing out of life. They want the same thing for their children, betterment for their family. And even if we're working with, women in rural areas of Africa, which we do, to try to help them process and make more money and make money at all because they're smallholder farmers, they still have the same kind of interest that you and I have, and they can be just as innovative as anybody else. When you teach them skills, then they become more innovative in that particular thing. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of that, I know you've also worked with the Peace Corps. So what was your favorite thing about that experience?
Yeah, after I got my bachelor degree, I spent a little over 2 years in West Africa and in a kind of a rural area, trading town in northern Liberia. And I think my favorite thing about the work was, experiencing another culture for sure, but the whole process of really becoming comfortable in the world and, living in a totally different place, I think it was a great thing for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So going back to food science, have you ever been able to notice your field of expertise in your daily life? Like, for example, do you ever walk through a grocery store and notice changes that you've helped bring about?
I think somewhat, I've worked with some of these companies, and I can't claim, that they came directly from our work, but certainly we added to it. Products that give you, when you eat them, they give you kind of sustained energy and moderated glycemic profile, for instance, is something that we've done a lot of work on and over the years, and companies have used that information.
Okay, very nice. So this is more about academia, I guess. What are your favorite and least favorite things about being a professor?
My favorite thing about being a professor is working with students. When I was young and when I was a graduate student, I really didn't think I would be a professor, but it's something I love to do. And I found over the years that that being able to work with graduate students for one thing and see them grow and learn how to do a research and tackle problems is really a great thing, and see them go out and be successful. And the same thing goes for undergraduate students. I teach less, than some faculty for undergraduate students, but I value very much both, the interaction with students. And least favorite thing, I would say that I'm not big on being on lots of committees and attending a lot of meetings, though I realize the importance of some of those, and I certainly put my time in on that. But we're pulled a lot of directions, and we have a lot to do. And in the research, I'm more of a research professor than teaching, so I have to get a lot of money in and write proposals and grants and and papers and so forth. So committees is not my favorite.
It's understandable. So it's probably not a surprise to anyone that we're in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic right now. How would you say that the pandemic has impacted the work you're able to do?
Well, as you know, I'm working at home. This is my home in back of me, and I don't find that it from the productivity side that it has made a lot of difference. I have a busy schedule, and I have a lot of work to do, and it's a chance to really focus and and do the work at home rather than in the office. In some ways it's better. Of course, I don't want to do it for a really long period of time, but I don't think it's affected me in a sort of a bad way in that respect. Our labs have been shut down, so the lab group has not been working, we've not been active in research, though that has changed. And of course, this month we're in a restricted way working again in the laboratory.
That's good. So this one was a submission from a grad student. If you had to pick a superhero based on a food, who would it be? A couple examples are Captain Asparagus, Super Fiberman, etc.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really given this one much thought. Yeah, I think that I'm certainly a big proponent of fiber, but it's not the only thing that I'm interested in. But I think it's a really important component of the diet, and so I would go with something along the line of Super Fiber Man.
Very nice. So this is the last question. What advice would you give to current or incoming college students as we're getting ready to come back to campus? So this can either pertain to food science students or just college students in general.
Yeah, I think in a general way that it's important to find that thing that really makes you passionate. And with myself, I did a lot of different things, and actually I didn't have a salaried job until I was 33 years old. And but it gave me, and my parents were good with that, and it gave me a chance to find what I wanted to do. And I'm not suggesting that for everyone, certainly, but I would say to find that thing that really excites you, gives you passion, and then in my experience, then things follow that, and success and kind of happiness follows that. That's
great advice. That's all we have. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we close?
No, I think that's it, Madeline. I think it's a great thing you're doing this, and it's really nice to, I think, have the chance for the faculty to talk to the students, even if it's not directly. And I would be happy to talk to any of you when we're back into kind of normal times. My office is on the second floor of the building.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was our whole goal with this, to kind of bridge the gap between the professors and the students and kind of start building those relationships.
Yep. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.